So this is episode number 3. We're going to look at the well-established potato. Behind us we see my beautiful class action. Not going to lie, let's just revel in its beauty. He's in the process of planting the potatoes. Now there are a few ways that you can plant potatoes, but they all give you the same result, and it's kind of like the same equipment as well. But we're going to have to find the root crop section. Again, I do not like this menu. And here we are. So we've got 3 different potato planters. They all do the same job. This one plants just at a smaller rate. It's got a 3 meter work width, as we can see here. This one has a 3 meter work width, but it's 125 grand for some reason. Has a higher capacity, I guess. You know, that's justifiable. Oh, this one fertilizes as well, which is okay. That's kind of neat. That's the first time I've ever seen a potato planter fertilize. And then we have this one, the old reliable compactor. And this one's got an 8,000 litre capacity and a 6 meter work width, so that's the one that I generally use. Now, as we can see here, we have 2 symbols. We've got seeds and potatoes, because we can replant our potatoes, and we've been able to do that with all the previous farming simulators. I'm not gonna lie, you can do that in real life as well, because the way that potatoes work is when they sprout, they just look for soil and they never die until they've found it, just so they can regrow. Check this image here. So yes, he's using the compactor to plant the potatoes into the ground. You can see the weird furrows that it's creating. Now we can roll these and create a seedbed, but it isn't necessary, as we can see in our info box. It does not require rolling. So yeah, and I think that's just because the potatoes grow a hell of a lot better when they're in furrows like this, because it sort of covers the actual roots more efficiently. There's the introduction done. Now let's get on to the more expensive part. So in order to plant... That was really loud. I don't even have bees. Anyway, in order to actually get to the point where you can plant them, I would just advise watching this video here. It shows you all the tilling equipment. What on earth is going on now? Again with the weather. This game. We'll be right back. It is currently 15 degrees and it's snowed. I'm lost for words. Right, well, the snow's finally gone and we've got some established crops. That's not a very good sign, but we'll continue to do the headland, and I know you shouldn't really do this in the rain, but I mean, I'm left with no choice here, to be honest. The weather system's kind of effed me over a little bit, I'm not gonna lie, but the show must go on. Right, so we're applying the finishing touches now, and as we can see that some of it has established itself, some of it hasn't. The weather kind of screwed us, I'm not gonna lie. But we're just applying the last layer of fertiliser. We didn't mulch beforehand, we just ploughed a harvest. Well, I'm ready to harvest crop even. So yeah, we are now, we're not going to get the 100% benefit, so we're not going to get like the 98,000 million litres per tonne we normally would get off potatoes. But we are going to get a significant amount from it. And this is one of the beauties of potatoes. It's expensive, but it can be extremely profitable. Right, so we've allowed the crop to germinate. We're on a 97% yield bonus, and yeah, it looks really good. I like the way the soil looks, and yeah, we are missing a couple of little strands here and there, but other than that, we're looking golden. So yeah, the expensive thing now is the harvester. So this is pretty much 600,000 euros, dollars, pounds, whatever you want to set your currency to, and yeah, it's got a relatively small work width. It's about 4 or 5 meters wide. You can go with a pull behind, which works out at around about half the price, and you get a significantly lower working width, but it does work out at half the price. So if you're on a budget, you can start here and then build your way up if you want to do potato farming as a full thing. Right, so the crop is now ready to harvest, and this is where it gets expensive. Now if you look here, it doesn't say ready to harvest, it says remove foliage. So let's have a look at the harvesters, because this is where there's some kind of conflicting information here. So we go for the technology, and we've got the harvesters here. So this is a harvester. It will trim the bush before it plucks the potatoes and sends it over down into the grain tank and the conveyors, I guess. And then we got this one here. Now, in the previous game, it said a Harlem topper was needed, but here it just says this will just dig the potatoes out the ground. So let's run a little bit of an experiment here. So we're going to use this. It's 205,000. It requires a 200 horsepower tractor. So we're going to use that, and we're going to get ourselves a 200 horsepower at least tractor, which obviously we're going with the class Axion. Alright, so let's put some theories to the test then. Now, I know the result of this, but you might not. So I'm just going to help you. I'm going to spread awareness. And would you look at that, you don't actually need a Harlem topper. So you don't actually need to ever remove the foliage. So yeah, it's kind of redundant. Okay, let's move that off the field. We've not got enough money. Subscribe to give me some money. Thank you very much for your subscription. As you can see, it really helped me a lot. Like the video and I'll get more money. So you look at that, you're just helping me out as much as possible. Thank you so much. Anyway, potato technology. We're going to get this big boy and we're going to get him out in the field. Now, as you can see, these things are really bulky. You will need to unfold them before you can start harvesting. And my suggested headland amount, and I think it's the game's suggested headland amount as well, is to do 5 headlands. Now, visibility is absolutely shocking, but first person view, since it's sort of like a raw crop, you can actually do a really easy job of this in first person. Now this should start harvesting some potatoes, and if we look, we will start destroying crops with this as well. No, we won't. Okay, fair enough, giants. Wibbly wobbly. Right, anyway, let's spend the next 10 years harvesting this, because that's how long it will take you. And you're also going to need a high capacity trailer in order to just handle the girth of the spud. So a good rule of thumb is, I tend to, if you look at this black thing that attaches to the windscreen, I tend to use that as the central point, and I just let that follow one row, and that way you're not really going to miss much and you're going to get some pretty decent straight lines. But this harvester is big and bulky, so be careful, and sometimes if you go first person and back to second, you might just start skewing up things a little bit. But yeah, 5 headlands up and down, well, 5 headlands all around actually, 5 headlands all around, and you're pretty much set for a decent turning points when you get into the middle. But what does that 5 headlands look like? Well, it will look like this. It kind of seems pointless, but you really do need that turning space. Another thing I like about the potato harvesters as well is, if you do end up going backwards down a row, if you look at the field itself, you'll still see the furrows there, and you can sort of like see, okay, that looked weird, but you can still see like the little green bits poking out, and that is just the potatoes. You will still be able to harvest them potatoes. You've not destroyed the crop, it's just chopped off the top. And as you can see, we'll start gaining some potatoes soon. You can already see it coming in through there. It kind of needs in that respect. I like that. Right, so I've got a feeling that we're going to get a little bit more than 41,000 per hectare. Farm Simulator Academy, you lied to me. We are getting way more than that. But now here's another expense, and here's another detail that we absolutely have to pay attention to. And that is the trailer. Now, there are 3 different types of trailers we can go for potatoes. So we can use these general trailers, you know, the grain carting trailers, and we could use the unrealistic one, which I'm probably going to use for the sake of this video anyway. And then, I mean, these ones are all silage and grasswork and all that other rubbish. We've got augers. Now, you need specific augers for potatoes, so as you can see, this one's grass, this one is root crops, so potatoes are perfectly valid for them. This one will only do grain. This one will only do grain and maize, and that maize as well as that one. And again, the same with that one, and absolutely all of the rest of them. This one's a sugar beet one. More on that one in a different video. The amateur will do potatoes because of the tipping type. And then you've got this big bugger over here, the mother of all things, 141,000 litre capacitor. But yeah, that's not a one you can cart. That's one that's got to be stationary. You unload it to a truck. So I think we will go with the crop chaser, the amateur one. I like that one. Pretty decent capacitor. Or we can do semi-trailers. Now, there's absolutely none of these that are suited for potatoes. This one's not, that one's not, that one's not. And these are low loaders. But this one is. This one's fine. It's 59,000 litres. But with the amateur auger, you get 60,900 litres. It's a little more expensive, but you get an extra 1,000 litres out of it. So yeah, and it can be pulled by a tractor, which is better than being pulled by a truck. It kind of isn't actually, because the trucks can go a hell of a lot faster. But for the sake of this video, we're going to go unrealistic 200,000 litre capacitor. Why not? Right, so we're loading all the goods now, and the textures look a little bit better with this. You can see the conveyor belt through the potatoes, but the potatoes still look absolutely tiny. Realistically, they'd be ginormous, covering the entire thing. But there we go. That didn't take too long. Kind of neat. Anyway, let me just finish this off, and then we'll look at how we can sell or take them further. Believe it or not, we are in the following year. I'm joking. It's taken me nearly an hour to do this field, and yes, we've got significantly more than 41,000 litres per hectare. We have a 1.26 hectare field, and we are living it up right now. Let's have a look at how much we actually do have. We've got a 200,000 litre capacity. Yeah, we have nearly 100,000 litres. So maybe I was wrong to judge Farm Simulator Academy on this. Maybe it was if there was like 0 yield bonus, we'd get 41,000, because we've got double it, well, almost double it, with 97% yield bonus. Now we've got to figure out what we're going to do with the crop. So we can sell it directly, and that is under here. So we can look at the potatoes. So December's looking like the best month to sell it. So let's have a look at how much we would get from this. You can kind of work it out with the calculations here. 756. So you can just do 82,000 divided by 1,000 and then times it by 756, and it'll give you the answer that you need. But it's not always like that. Sometimes it's a little bit more, sometimes it's a little bit less. So it's best just to hold off until that date and then sell. So let's do that. I almost forgot to mention as well, if you ever do plan on storing potatoes, you're going to have to store them on the ground, I'm afraid. Root crop storage was a good mod on FS22, and I'm sure it'll come back to this. But yeah, the only way you're going to do it is just throw it all on the floor, hope that it doesn't rain, or put it in grain bins. But there is a miscellaneous section here that will not do potatoes. So yeah, your only option would actually be using a loader and picking up the potatoes manually. A few thousand litres at a time, spending half a year just to do that. Right, so we are in December now, and it looks like potato processing plant is the best opportunity, and as I said, 758 predicted, 773 is what they're offering. So we're going to tag that place, and we're going to head over to it. It's not too far off. And this will also be a building that we are going to purchase. So let's turn the beacons on. Let's get down there. Right, so we are pulling in now, and yeah, it's looking pretty decent, isn't it? Let's just plug him on up here. And we're going to do a quick save. And how much are we going to get for all these potatoes? $64 grand. That's not a bad price, but let's have a look at what we do if we process them further. Right, so we're still at the plant now, and we are going to go ahead and purchase this, which is this little spanner icon over here. It cost us 360,000 euros. Jesus. But anyway, we're going to load this up with potatoes. Going to go up to our production menu here. Now, one person did mention that you can do it. You can see the ingredients, which is over here, but we will need sunflower oil as a result. So let's get some sunflower oil. Right, so we've come now to November, and we did buy another production called potato soup. It was another production that you can use for your potatoes. If we go here and we have potato soup, it is currently active with no ingredients, but all it requires is potatoes, as I was pointed out in the last video that you can scroll down here. But for some reason my... oh, wait a minute. Oh, I can do it with a control pad. Okay. So yeah, with the potato soup, it requires 300 potatoes for 75 tins of soup. I'm assuming it's tins of soup. Well, it's just cycles, really. Let's call it a tin of soup. And then over here we've got potato chips, which do require some sunflower and some potatoes. And you can do olive oil or canola oil, and that'll give you the same results, and it'll just speed up the production a bit. But yeah, so we're going to sell this, and the highest price is looking like Farmer's Market. So let's go and tag this place, as we normally do. It's just 700 meters away, which isn't too bad. I have built a lovely industrial estate over there, I'm not gonna lie. Right, so now we are arriving at our Farmer's Market, and we're just going to sell these. Now we do have 16,000 litres, which we can't complain with. It would be 16 pallets, but we dwindled them down. And there we have it, 61,000 we got for that, so that's not a bad price if I do say so myself. Now, the potato chips were only available in August, but here's another thing, you really need to keep an eye on this bloody stock market thing every single month, because as I was leading up to August, it told me that November was my best month, and then as I skipped forward to November, it told me October was my best month, and then I went forward again, and I checked it out on August, and then it said December was my best month, so I went forward to December, and then it told me that October was my best month, and it just kept alternating. This is like the 4th year that I've been skipping time forward, so keep your eye on it every single month. Right, well, now it's time to sell the chips, as they call it in America. Right, so we are actually finally at the highest selling point, and we can see that some of them are asking for a little bit less. Well, everyone's asking for a little bit less than the highest point. That one is going up, but I'm not going to risk it. I just want to make a sale, and we're looking at potentially Ellengrat, but to avoid the cost of the rental of the train, we're going to go supermarket. So we're going to go over there, and it's only right around the corner again. It's about 1,000 meters away. What is wrong with the curbs on this game? Come on. Let's sell some produce. Right, so let's undo the tension belt, see how much we get. And we got 110,000 for that. 110,429. But this one required 2 products. So let's get out the old calculator here, and let's do some mathing. So we got 110,429. That's our figure that we did have. Now we're going to have a look at sunflower oil, because that's what we used, and it's down in S. And we're going to have to deduct this from the price, and Jesus Christ. Sunflower oil is extremely expensive. So I'm not too sure how many litres, but let's just say it's 24,000 litres of sunflower oil for 24,000 litres of potato chips, which is probably a little bit less, maybe a little bit more. Let's have a look. Potato chips, sunflower oil. Oh, so 5 makes 30. I'm not too sure what the 30 is. Is it 30 litres? 30? I don't know. Is it 5 litres makes 30? So let's do 24,000. And then divide by 5. So it's 4,800 litres. That sounds about right. So 4,500 litres. Multiply that by 6,396. Nope. Divide that by 1,000. And then that equals 4.8. And then times that by 6,386. So that would have got me 30,000, and the potatoes earned me close to, was it 70,000? So yeah, I made about 10 grand off that. And I didn't make much more from the actual product itself, even though when I sold my potato soup. I mean, it makes you a bit more, but not a great deal more. So, yep. Now, we've got all of that rubbish out the way. Let's just park him up so he's not leaving here. So again, it's just another question of, it's a lot of money to invest into a building that produces shit. And, okay. Is it actually worth having to go through all that just for an extra 10 grand a year? Especially like the likes of sunflower oil and everything like that. Why is there just like random circles of weeds here? We must have had a weather event or something. Like, it always confuses me. Right, where's me? There we are. Yeah, we must have had a few tornadoes in that time we took away from the farm. But yeah, so we've done the potatoes, we've processed what we need to do. There is another thing you can do with them, and you can just throw them straight back into the planter. So it's always handy to just keep a reserve, just like monitor how much you're using. And just keep a reserve stock, just so you can plant them. I'd probably give it like maybe 5,000 litres extra, because they do go through a lot. And it should say it needs ploughing, but it doesn't. But you should always plough once you've done root crops. I don't know why GPS has saved on this, but I'm not complaining. Let's just try the farmer's field. But yeah, you should always plough after you've done a root crop, because that way you can destroy the roots that were left under there, because we've all seen how big roots on potatoes can grow. Here's an image for when they sprout. Imagine what they're like underground when they're thriving and alive. Anyway, that's it from this tutorial. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and once we finish ploughing, we're going to go ahead and talk about sugar beets.